History, basically, I look back on my own life when I think about that. I think about where I've come from, and it really reflects on like where I'm going. As far as my own history really starts for me when I went away to college, went out to New Mexico, and didn't know anybody out there. I was just totally on my own for the first time in my life, where I felt like, alright, there is no safety net, there is nothing to hold me back. And it's from there that I've seen a steady growth of where I am today as far as my art. And it's crazy because I didn't even think about art at that time. But it was the first process to like get me out of my shell and make me realize that the one thing I've always been good at but I never pursued was the one thing I'd end up coming back to after going through a system of education.
History, to me, makes me think of my grandparents, where they came from, where I came from, and Casanova. And the reason I say that is because it's not the fact that he was a seductive master over women, but it was the fact that he was not scared to take a challenge and defeat it or overcome it. And I just gathered a lot of inspiration from that method.
History to me, it's more than just what's taught in schools and the books. It's more like finding your own personal history. Not necessarily just your life, but your family, going extended down to your ancestral line. And when you do that, you get that knowledge, that influence that you can express through yourself. It opens you up, it's growth, and take it to another level with what you do, your artwork, or whatever you pursue, whatever it is you do with your life that you love.
It's something that you can look at, but once it comes to your own experience, that's what'll really show you what history means to you, is when you reflect on your own experience. So it's crazy. You can attain all the knowledge from books and past stories that you want, but until you're able to connect it with your own life and create the story out of your own history, that's when things start to get really remarkable.
History is, when I think of my own history, there's three major influencing factors that kind of shaped where I'm at right now. And those three things are obviously film. I was blessed to have two parents that were enthusiastic about sharing two different mediums of film. Me discovering comic books and me studying the life since I was a child of Robert Downey Jr.
What I really think makes history is perspective. And look at how our education system, for the most part, gives one side of history. When you're talking on a global scale, or U.S. history was pretty much the only history class you really took throughout K through 12. But in reality, there's so many perspectives, because what is history? It's simply a story, a bunch of stories put together. And with those stories, it creates a makeup of the human condition.
My grandparents, they are Native American, or part Native American anyway. And I feel like I hold a closer grip to that heritage. I like to base my life off of what I know about Indian ancestry anyway. Like that, as far as decisions, spiritually. And kind of take pride in the fact that people that live off the land were nomadic in this country, and I feel like my life has kind of been nomadic as well.
It's really important to look at details when you look in history, and to be able to have more than one perspective. Because if you make your life about following the guidelines of one perspective, in my mind, that doesn't work, because you don't really question where it is you've come from and where it is you're going, and without that question, how can you really grow? To me, history really means questioning your past and really making an effort to figure out the answer to that.
My mother was always about the iconic films, the classic stuff, the important films, and my father very much was all about our imagination and showing us, science fiction and fantasy action films. So there was a healthy balance of watching a lot of mediums in film that helped shape my imagination. Another attribute is comic books. I am very much a comic book lover, and it's always the stories of good versus evil, and it helped me shape, my morals. It helped me get a moral compass through my whole history, my whole life. And to this day, comic books play a big factor because I try my best to be a good person, and I try my best to be positive in all the work that I do. It comes from a positive space, and a lot of that comes from the comics that I was introduced to as a child and continue to indulge in to this day. And the third attribute, since I was a small child, I've had a fascination with the work of Robert Downey Jr. From Chaplin was one of the very first films I ever saw as a child, and I loved it, and his work inspires me, and his lifestyle, no matter how bad and negative some may perceive it to have been, it helped shape him into who he is. And it's one of those stories where bad things happen in life. You can't avoid that, but you don't let it determine how your future is going to be. You learn from it. And he has a success story where he made it in the later half of his life. There's no time frame as to how long it takes to become successful, and that's something I think is important, because to this day it's a very fast-paced lifestyle and everyone wants things now. If you take the time to appreciate the good and bad that happens in your life, you'll find success, whether it's monetary or emotionally.